Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another rules breakdown. Now this time I'm going to have a look at the Quickstart rules for Homeworld Revelations. But these are the 2D20 system, which is also used in the Star Trek Adventures game from Modiphius. So these rules will be familiar to anybody who's played that game. And they're only very slightly modified from that, as they have been through various games which have used the 2D20 rules. So for skills, let's flick over to the character sheets. And I'm going to use the last of the characters in the bundle because they have the most relevant talents and focuses for some examples I can use. So, for example, if your character is trying to climb something, you'll be using a combination of a attribute and a skill. So, agility and I would say probably exploration. So they've got agility of 9 and exploration of 2. So they add those together and that's your target number, and you must roll beneath that on 2d20, hence the name of the system. However, we've got things here like survivalist. This character has a talent of survivalist. You may reduce the difficulty of tests to navigate and overcome dangerous terrain or environmental conditions, such as difficult climbs, unstable flooring, or manoeuvring in zero gravity by 1 to a minimum of 0. So normally to climb over something, if it was fairly easy, you'd have a target number of 1. So they can automatically do that. But if it's a pretty difficult climb, the Games Master might decide that you need 2, 3, 4, 5 successes. 5 is the highest he can put up the difficulty to. So with that talent, that target number is reduced by 1, and that's how many successes. But if you're only rolling 2d20, how could you possibly get 4 or 5 successes? Well, it depends on what you roll. If you roll a 1, first of all, that counts as 2 successes. So on your 2 dice, it is actually possible to get 4. Also, if you've got a relevant focus, and this character has melee combat tactics, disguise, handguns, chain of command, Galsian tactics, they have no climbing skill. So that makes no difference. But if they had a climbing skill in their focuses, then any success counts as 2 successes as well. So any succeeding roll would count as double. But there's also in the system momentum and threat. Momentum is gained by doing great things, but you can also command momentum at any point by giving the Games Master threat. And threat allows you, momentum allows you to roll 1 extra dice when you spend it, up to rolling 5 dice. But threat allows the Games Master to roll extra dice as well. It also comes relevant in initiative, as we'll see in a moment. But that gives you extra dice to roll, so you can roll more successes. Of course, higher attributes and skills will lead to more successes anyway. But let's have a look. So we're rolling 2d20. We're wanting a threshold of 1. It was going to be a 2. They've got the survivalist talent, so they're only looking for 1 success. So let's throw the dice. We've got a 17 and we've got 11. So we've got 1 success under that, so they succeed. And that's how it works. You're rolling a number of dice, usually 2d20, but you can get bonus dice for momentum. And you are trying to get under the combination of the attribute and the skill which is relevant. Now, it's one of the problems I have with 2d20 is that exploration sounded about right for climbing, but who knows what the real thing should be. You've only got combat, engineering, flight, command, exploration, and medical. And out of those, exploration sounded right. But they are very targeted divisions that you can use. There's only 6 skills. It's very, very vague. But it's up to the Games Master to decide what you're going to be rolling, or you as a player to argue the Games Master round. It's also worth mentioning fortune. If we go back to the rulebook and flick onto page 11... we've got fortune. Your character starts a session with 1 fortune point. You can never have more than 3 fortune points. You can only spend 1 fortune point per scene. You can gain fortune by accepting a complication, challenging a defining aspect, or good role-playing. And you spend fortune in buying a critical success. So basically you're buying a 1 on your dice. So 2 successes on your dice roll. You can get re-rolling all the dice that you want. So probably every fail, you would re-roll and see if you get successes, or you could just decide to make it happen. Now the difference between buying successes and re-rolling dice is that you get your momentum. Extra successes will buy up to reach target numbers, but dice beyond that add to your momentum, up to a maximum of 6. So it's often worth taking a dice roll even if you don't need, even if there's 0 successes needed to do something. Rolling your dice to try and succeed, to get extra points to put into momentum, to improve your rolls later. Now for initiative, if we turn onto page 13 and 14, we can see action order. Well, basically, at the start of an action scene, the Games Master determines a single character to take the first turn. So it's Games Master decided who goes first. However, it's worth noting, in a situation where an NPC would not normally act first, the Games Master can allow them to by spending 1 point of threat. So that's the way it works. The Games Master can spend his threat to get NPCs to go first if he wants. But obviously the players have to give him threat by buying momentum. So in combat, you can make major actions and minor actions. Now your major actions are things like you can assist another character, which adds dice to their roll. You can make an attack, which we'll come on to in a second. You can pass, you can ready an action, you can sprint, stabilize, or do a skill test. Your minor actions are things like you can aim, which allows you to re-roll a single d20 and make an attack before the start of your next turn. You can draw an item, you can move, or you can prepare for something. But when you're actually making an attack, if you're doing a melee attack, you're doing brawn plus combat with a difficulty of 1. Or in ranged combat, it's coordination plus combat, difficulty 2. So looking at the character, we've got coordination of 10, combat of 5. So we've got a target number of 15, sorry. And we're rolling our 2d20 again. So we throw 2d20, we're trying to get 15s or under. We've actually got 2 15s, so we've got 2 successes, which is the threshold. So you have successfully hit. And there's no dodging in the game, you're just trying to hit a target. So you've got 2 successes, which are threshold. However, this character, as their focuses, has melee combat and handguns. So those 2 successes both count as 2 successes each. So they've got 4 successes. So they've passed the threshold, and they've got 2 successes, which add to their momentum, allowing them to add them to rolls later on. Now, for damage, if we flip back to the rules a second, we can see if the attack is successful, then you inflict stress, rolling challenge dice equal to the weapon's stress rating, plus your character's combat skill. So let's have a look at the character again. Their combat skill was 5, and the stress rating of their weapon was 8. So they're rolling 13 challenge dice. Now, I need to go back to the rules here. Now, these are the results. So we're rolling 13d6. Let's clear that. Now, results of 3 and 4 do nothing. Results of 1 are 1 damage. So we have 1, 2, 3 there. Results of 2 are 2 damage. So we have 4, 6, 8 damage there. And results of 5 and 6 are 1 plus effect. So we got 9, 10, 11. So we've done 11 damage. Now, the effect, if we have a look at the weapons, which are page 34 and 35, we can see that the composite pistol has no effects. But we have effects here of things like the automatic pistol is Vicious 1. The Vicious effect inflicts X points of additional stress for each effect rolled. So there were 3 5s, so it would be 1 point extra for those 3 5s. So using the composite pistol, we got 11 damage. What does that actually mean? Well, if we look at the character sheet, we can see that this character has 17 stress, because you get stress at the start of an adventure of equal to your brawn plus your combat, so 12 plus 5 in the state of this character. But those 11 damage, you take away any armor ratings you've got. So the armor rating's 2, so it's got 9 damage. But 9 damage has an additional effect. If we turn back to page 16, we can see your character's maximum stress equal to brawn plus combat. Armor rating comes straight off damage. Injuries. You receive an injury if after subtracting stress equal to your target's armor, any of the following occur. 5 or more stress are inflicted in one attack. The attack inflicts enough stress to bring the target to their maximum stress, or the target is already at their maximum stress and suffers further stress. Now, 1 wound doesn't really do anything. 2 wounds make you incapacitated, and 3 is a critical wound, so you are lay on the ground dying. But that's how health works. You've got your stress and it recovers very, very quickly. Basically, as long as you've got time to have a breather, it heals up. So any time between combat, your stress heals up. But injuries need healing up between that. 1 injury basically doesn't do anything. 2 injuries take you out until you're first aided. 3 injuries and you're dying until you're first aided. Now, possibly because these are quick start rules, there are no advancement systems included in them. However, there isn't really any advancement system in the Star Trek Adventures game either. There's no way of improving your attributes, there's no way of improving your skills. If we go back to the character sheet, we can see in Star Trek they're called values, in Homeworld they're called defining aspects. So this character has defining aspects of always ready for a fight. Stealth is as important to a fight as being alert. People assume I'm stoic, but I'm very light-hearted. Now, you gain momentum and you gain fortune for using those aspects in your role-playing. But if they're challenged, you can rewrite them after adventures and change the aspects or the values of your character. But that's the only advancement the system has, at least in Star Trek Adventures. I understand in things like Acton Cthulhu, you can actually buy up your attributes and skills, but it remains to be seen whether Homeworld uses that system. So, that's a quick look at the Homeworld Revolution's Quick Start. Now, I've played these rules in the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game, and they work really well. Getting people to cooperate, the way you can use your momentum dice to help other people, the way you can aid other people even in combat, it really helps the team come together to deal with goals, and I really like that aspect of the game. However, a lot of people I've spoken to find it a very clunky system, and in making this video I have to admit I've had a lot of false starts in recording and finding it fairly difficult to explain. There's a lot to it, and it doesn't flow as well as a number of the systems I've covered. But we shall see how Homeworld looks when it comes out, how they handle that. I'm not really excited by it. This Quick Start really only has the rules in it. There's nothing more for me to get my teeth into and go, oh, this is a game I definitely want to play. But anyway, I've whittled on for quite long enough as usual, so thank you very, very much for watching. But, as always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.